this point, I think I'd have a pretty tricky and difficult time not including Ichiko Aoba in my all-time favorite artists, because she has dropped so many fantastic albums over the course of like the past 10 years, and the consistency in her discography is just unmatched, honestly. Like, every release may give you a very similar listening experience, but that in no way means that the music falters because of that, because she is just a wonderful, wonderful musician. I have already touched upon her music this year. Back in April, I think it was, I touched on her live album, and amazingly, her live music sometimes hits a little bit harder than her actual studio material, which I think is an amazing feat to achieve for a musician. If you can hit that level, you are pretty damn impressive. Of the folk genre, chamber folk genre, Ichiko is up there with the best. Like, I just don't see how I couldn't call her one of the best, truly. I gush over her music most days. She just is just such a beautiful, beautiful talent. And although you could argue that her music isn't actually that versatile, there isn't a huge amount of diversity, each album offers a very similar thing, it doesn't really matter to me, man, because I think it's one of those cases where if the music is so good every time, it really doesn't make a huge dent in the fact that, you know, each album might be quite similar. And you know what, man, if Consequence of Sound can put AC/DC in their bloody year-end list in the year of 2020, when they have basically put out the same album since 1979, with only the vocals getting worse and worse each time, yes, I'm having this one. Ichiko Aoba is an all-time great. I don't care, I'm having this. Now, this all leads perfectly into Windswept Adan, her new album here, because actually it is slightly different in style compared to her previous stuff, where you're getting something a little bit different here. Some of the instrumentals aren't quite the same as what she's given us before. It's one of those slight variations that you weren't necessarily asking for or looking for, but now that you've got it, you are so thankful for it, because she potentially could have painted herself into a corner if she'd given us a similar album once again. Although I don't think she would have, but she potentially could have. But the fact that we have got these whimsical, beautifully arranged tracks on this new album is just killing me, man. Like, she is just delivering once again, and I am so happy. Like, I can't believe how unbelievably happy I am with this, because again, I was anticipating it so much, and for it to deliver in ways I wasn't expecting just makes it even more, just makes it even better, honestly. Enchanting instrumental that we're given on Pilgrimage. Everything is just arranged so beautifully, man. It's just so whimsical, it's gorgeous, all of the good words you could imagine just describes this track. It just really, really sets everything up perfectly. And there's even a little bit of percussion, like a soft little bit of percussion you can hear here, which for an Ichiko Aoba track is pretty crazy. It's weird to hear. Vocals are so haunting and beautiful at the same time. They really just send you into a trance. Like, they really bloody do. Just listening to her voice, again, it's so organic. But this time around, she is flexing a little bit with her vocals, a little bit more than she usually would. Like, she's holding on to notes a bit longer and stuff like that. There's just this way of how the sort of like vocals blend with the instrumentals at times. Like, it's really interesting to hear her go for this. But if you listen to, you know, Zero or QP, they're pretty standard structures for songs, even though, you know, they hit hard for me personally. But like, I think this time around, we're not really getting that same standard structure. Now, Porcelain, though, describes everything I've just said so perfectly. This track here is like the most magical song you will lay your ears on in 2020. Seriously, man, this track is just so magical. It is just amazing. Totally transports me to playing a game like Ori and the Blind Forest or Ori and the Will of the Wisps. Like, if that track was just playing while you're running through playing as Ori, and, you know, just kind of fighting all the evil monsters, it would soundtrack it absolutely perfectly. It's such a delicate song. It's hopeful and it's enlightening as well. The arrangements of all the woodwinds and everything like that are coming through just like open up this new path that you just weren't expecting to see, this new world even. It's amazing. There are some familiar sounding tracks though for Ichiko. I mean, Sagu's Palm Song is a good example where, you know, the guitar plucking is just very much in her style that she's always been so good at. Like, I love the way like everything about the guitar that she always brings into her music is just so raw and like high in the mix. Like the plucking is just like tickling your ears, and it sounds fantastic. It's so detailed, but at the same time it's so calming. It's always been such a great trait of hers that she has just nailed. Like, it must have took so long to practice this to get it right, but she nails it every time. But then you also have Hagupit, which just brings this new dynamic to her sound, honestly. Like, you've got these strings that sound absolutely elegant, but at the same time they're very somber and kind of sad sounding, honestly. But I say new dynamic to a sound because it's just bringing something that you generally don't hear in an Ichiko song, but it just fits so perfectly, and it's almost as if it's like making you go, why wasn't it here the whole time? And it's probably important to note that like these aren't new things you've ever heard in music. You've probably heard this 100 times before, but I think the fact that it just pairs up so perfectly with her voice, and the instrumentals are just so bloody wonderful that it doesn't really matter if it's, you know, not the most unique thing you've ever heard. It's just the feeling that it gives you. Like, Ichiko just offers this special feeling that I can't really quite find in many other artists. It's difficult to replicate this. Porcelain the Adan will sweep you off your feet. This is, again, another massive highlight on the album. Rivals Porcelain for best track, honestly. The vocal melodies, man. Again, just so difficult to find this in much music out there, but Ichiko is it's crazy actually. She is really overlooked in a lot of ways. Like, when you check her monthly listeners, you won't be seeing high numbers. Like, these aren't numbers that should be reflecting the quality of the music, but like, there are so many people that have never heard this. And Jesus Christ, just lay your ears on this track. Listen to those vocals. You won't understand a word what she's saying, because if you're not from the country that Ichiko is from, then of course you won't understand, or unless you've learned the language, obviously. But that doesn't matter. It doesn't matter, man. It never matters, because it transcends language. It transcends all the barriers, because there is just no one that sounds like this. The guitar playing once again on Ohayashi is just to die for. The second half as well, like where there's a little pace change, it just melts you away. Like, that moment that hits really takes you aback. It's so, I keep saying the word bloody wonderful or beautiful or whatever, but they're just the right words to describe what she's doing. Final track as well, just everything I've said already. I like the way it ends off with, you know, her swimming. You can hear like the sounds of someone swimming. It's actually a really nice sound. I almost feel like that could have played throughout the majority of the song. I'd be interested to see how that would work if you just played that swimming motion in the background, while also playing, you know, her vocals and a guitar or whatever. I feel like that could sound amazing, honestly. But that's besides the point. That's just me speculating on something that doesn't exist on this album, because regardless, it is such a great piece of music anyway. In terms of negatives, I guess Kirin Kishima isn't the most essential track, just essentially her vocals, which sound amazing as always, but it wasn't quite backed with, you know, the swelling instrumentation that just takes you away like many of the other tracks were. But I think it's important to mention Parfum d'Etoile, if that's how you say it. It's a piano piece. It feels quite indebted to the jazz genre, honestly. I was quite impressed with this one because I wasn't expecting it, you know, mostly a piano piece here. Once again, probably her just flexing her talents. Look, I can do this as well and make it sound great. Yeah, obviously I love this, and I was expecting to anyway. I don't know, she's just so good at what she does that even, again, if you replicated it over and over for many albums to come, it would probably keep delivering, honestly. And the fact that this album just brings something slightly different just makes it all the more better for me. So an 8.5 out of 10, an easy 8.5 out of 10, one of the easiest I've handed all year. And yeah, Ichiko once again giving me an album that will make a year-end list, because she's been doing that for years now. So thank you for watching this review. Hopefully you've listened to this album. I'd love to see what you think. And if you haven't already, please check it out. I'd love for you to check it out, because I think a lot of people would adore this. It just needs some boost, you know? It needs some kind of major boost. I don't know where from, but she just needs a bigger boost from something. You know, it came out at the start of December. Most publications do their year-end lists in November. They've finalized everything by that point. So she's not going to make any year-end lists to give her that recognition, which is a huge shame, really. But that's just the way publications work, I guess. But hopefully this review will get to some people that haven't checked her out before. And thank you for watching this review. Hope you have a good day. Subscribe if you haven't already. Do check this out, please. And goodbye.